Welcome to podcast number 4 from here at Futurephonic. I'm Alex.
I am Sam. Have we done 4 already? We've done 4, haven't we?
This is number 4, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't done one for a while because after Echotronics, our serum, our newest serum pack, I just had to go away for a while. Well, like it's quite, no, I mean I didn't disappear into the mountains and come out sort of bearded and in like ragged clothing, after like a month or something. But no, it's just the way I work, man. I go. You know this about me. I do know this. I go fucking balls to the wall. Like I just make it my whole life, Echotronics took 6 weeks of just. I didn't do anything else. The difference was this time I kept my eating up. Like I kept my I stayed healthy. I stayed healthy. No, because when I go into that place, like sometimes it's like it's not like I'm not doing fucking yoga in the mornings. I'm waking up and just like if I either won't eat at all, and then I'll get really hungry and I'll be like sitting there like with like bloodshot eyes like, wait, I haven't even fucking eaten today, or I'm just eating fucking frozen pizza, or It's
easy to get unhealthy in those sorts of situations, man, especially considering that just all of the hours and stuff you put in. It's crazy.
Yeah, so I had to, I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it. And all the
absolutely
all the reviews are coming back now, and people are loving it, and that's really cool. But I needed to get away for a little while, just hit some fucking pool parties, basically. Spend some time in the pool. Not my pool. I don't have a pool. I live in fucking London. But yeah, man. Like, how's things at your end in Melbourne?
I'm good. I've just actually had a super crazy situation come to somewhat of a close. So we had one of my housemates, who I will not name for various reasons. He was subletting his room, and the guy that was subletting in the room was like, he started off seeming like a nice guy, like didn't really, kept to himself, like was pretty straight down the line, like, just sort of doing his thing. And as sort of time went on, he sort of became more and more recluse, and we were sort of wondering what's going on, and he sort of started to become late with bill money and rent money and these sorts of things. And we were like,
how long was he subletting for?
About 2.5 months.
Okay.
So yeah, my housemate went to Europe for 2.5 months. He went to Boom and a few other bits and pieces. And yeah, so the subletter left the house a few days ago, and I was actually in my studio doing some work, and I was just checking Facebook quickly, and an image of this guy popped up, like a CCTV image of this guy popped up at a local music store. Saying that he'd stolen a Teenage Engineering OP1, the little grey synth. And I was just like, whoa, is that this guy? So I called up my housemate and I was like, dude, is this the guy? And he's like, yeah, that's 100% the guy. And we were just like, what the fuck is going on?
Wait, was he still in your house?
He just left like 2 days before. Yeah, dude, it gets worse, right? You literally can't make this shit up. So my housemate comes back from his travels, and I tell him the story and how he just turned into a bit of a mess in the house and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, as literally just like an offhand comment, I was like, you might just want to check that, because he's stolen this stuff from this music shop. You might just want to check that.
I don't like where this is going.
Dude, it's fucked. I was like, you might just want to check that he hasn't stolen like any of your gear. So he goes into his room. Dude, he's literally stolen like over 7.5 grand's worth of gear. So we're talking Moog Sub 37 limited edition. We're talking Access Virus TI2. We're talking Nord Lee. Actually, I've got the Nord. I've borrowed his Nord.
You stole that.
I stole the nod. We're talking.
Well, but hey, you know, if he's cleaning it out, you might as well help yourself to a little bit. But, you know.
He's actually just stuck his head in the door. You're famous on a podcast, my friend.
Tell him I'm very fucking sorry to hear this.
Tell him it's only made me stronger.
He said to tell you that it's only made him stronger.
Jesus.
But yeah, so like all of his stuff was gone basically, right? And this is where it starts to get really interesting. So we tried calling this guy and getting hold of him, and it's just not happening, right? He's just obviously ignoring all of our calls and all the rest of it. So I was coming back from the gym, and we'd managed to get through to like one of his friends that was like, yeah, basically it turns out that this guy is like a junkie. And we were like, what? And he's like, yeah, you didn't know? We're like, what do you mean we didn't know? He's like, yeah, he used to like take like smack. And we were like, what? And he was like, oh, he didn't tell you that? And we're like, no,
he missed that part out.
Yeah, missed out the part that he basically stole this gear for smack, and was like literally like, as far as we know, like getting high like in our house while we were there. Anyway, so I was coming back from the gym, right? And I was like, oh, I'm just gonna check into like the local pawn shop around the corner to see if any of this stuff is there. I go into the pawn shop and I say to the guy, I'm like,
that's pawn shop for everyone listening, not porn shop.
Yeah, this got nothing to do with your right hand carpal tunnel syndrome, mate. And
ooh.
I go in there, and the guy was like, I just said to him, hey man, so we've had some music gear stolen from our house. Like, do you recognize a dude that looks like this? And he just goes, oh, not this guy's name. Before I'd even given him a description, I was just like, what the fuck? Looked around the shop, all of the gear was there. I'm like, this is like 2 minutes from my house, man.
Wait, he just dropped it off around the corner.
Literally drops it off around the corner,
Amateur.
dude. It's like, dude, it's so fucked. It carries on and carries on and carries on and carries on. But basically, it's with the police now. It basically turns out that we had a junkie like living in our house, like doing crack or smack or whatever he was doing in our actual house, and like stole all of our gear, and then like had the audacity to think that we wouldn't notice. And he in the end like got back in touch with us and was like, yeah, I was sort of planning to have it all back by the time I moved out. It's like, what? Like, oh yeah, dude, it's so fucked.
Is his argument that he was going to buy it all back?
Yeah, that's what he's saying. Yeah.
Oh well, that's reasonable. I mean, you know, he just lent it out for a little while, and you know, but hey, it's cool. Yeah. I'll replace it. You can trust me. I just need a couple more weeks, and I will. Wait, but what if someone else bought it?
Well, this was the thing, right? So I had to go to the police and put a stop on it from it being sold. Right. Which now involves the police, which is just, it's not like, it's just long because now it means that we have to go to court potentially to get stuff out. But it turns out that the reason, at least what he's saying, is the reason that he stole the gear was that, and this is the part that's, you know, the real fucking icing on the cake, is that the reason he stole the gear was that an ex-dealer of his, some like, and these are his exact words, and I quote, staunch Nazi Vietnamese guy, found out that he was living in our house, thinks that he owes him loads of money, and so like basically was like, you need the money. And I was like, dude, so now our house has become like marked as some sort of like crack den. Great. And like it's like, I don't know how much of this I should actually be saying.
Have you ever seen that?
There's no names, but
well, if you know, if you don't want to tell the rest of the story, then the story was actually came out on TV on this show called Breaking Bad. Well, dude, fucking best of luck with that, man.
Yeah, we hope we get it back.
Jesus Christ. Okay, well, look, guys, coming up today on the podcast, me and Sam catch up with Shahaf Efrat, better known as Freedom Fighters, and we actually had such a great call with the dude.
True, like artist, and yeah, an absolute pleasure.
True artist. I think we both got a lot of inspiration from that one. And I think you will too. And just a quick note that we're sort of playing with the format. You know, it's early days in the podcast, and so we're just going to be just doing that now. We're just calling the dudes and hopefully some ladies in the trance scene as well. And we're just gonna chat, and so it's not gonna be so much about answering questions and doing reviews and stuff like that. It's just getting right to the
juicy stuff.
Right to the juicy stuff.
Yellow.
Shahaf, how's it going, mate?
How's it going?
Hey, how are you, man?
I'm good. Good to see you guys.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm here in London. Just to let you know, well, Sam, you should probably mention about your internet.
Yeah. So as you know, man, I think I'm here in Australia, and we've had serious technical issues trying to get this whole Skype thing going. So if I drop out, I think it's because it rained here. So if I drop out, I will be back. But yeah.
Wait, that's why your internet sucks, is because it rained.
Yeah,
but it's Australia,
yeah.
Man. Everything should be fucking amazing. Why doesn't it work properly?
Yeah,
it's just
the
rain.
internet here is super bad, dude. Super
Really?
bad. Yeah. We've got worse internet than Kazakhstan comparatively.
What? Really? Why?
Yeah, dude, it's the whole it's the NBN thing. So do you know the NBN?
No, what's that?
So it was about, I don't know exactly the timeline, but it was maybe like 10 years ago or something. Australia had like really bad internet, and so the government came in and they said, okay, we're going to do this thing called the NBN, which is the National Broadband Network, and we're going to make sure everyone's got super fast internet and everything's going to be great. And it's just been like a complete fucking failure. And it works in, like, if you're in the middle of a city, it's great, like internet's fine, it's just like everywhere else. But as soon as you start going out, it's like, it's now become this huge political debacle, and like internet is just generally really fucking shit here. So
that's fucking bad, man. I mean,
yeah, dude,
you can't have a proper life without proper internet. So that's like
or can you? Maybe it's better.
I think it's better. It's either like you have a really good internet or you don't have internet at all. But
sure.
Anything in between is like, you know, it's a bummer.
Yeah, if you're gonna isolate yourself from the distraction, just have nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Either that or like really good internet.
But yeah, most of the calls with Sam is like you'll just be halfway through a flow thought and it'll be like, "Hello, dude, can't hear you." It's like, "Oh, for duh."
Talking to myself, yeah.
Shaf, I was chatting to you a minute ago. You said you're doing a fucking Nine Inch Nails remix.
Yeah, I just did. I just exported it for the first time, actually, because I'm like really stressed because they're gonna hear it probably today, obviously. Like, I hope. I don't know. I think
huge fan.
I'm super excited, to be honest. I just tried to do something really different and like open-minded, something between techno and trance and whatever. And really hope it'll work. I hope they'll like it.
It's like a legit Trent's gonna hear it.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. Hopefully. Yeah.
That's insane.
Well, to be honest, we just there are like a lot of those like multi-channels of like remix of like files from their old albums online, and I just like I took one of them and I just started remixing it, and they heard it, like one of the guys heard it in a way, and they were like into it, and they were like, finish it, we're gonna send it to Trent, and I'm like, yeah, okay, why not, I'll just try. And I just almost finished it now, and I hope it's gonna be a good one. But yeah, it's like vocal free, to be honest. Yep. It's more of dub version, because I'm not into vocals for some reason yet.
Same.
Which I don't know, it just
track?
kills the vibe. It's called Vessel.
Which album was that?
It's like, I don't remember, to be honest. I need to check. Old. One of the old ones. I think it's like 2004 maybe. Okay. But it was a good one. Yeah. A lot of MS-20 action there.
Yeah, I mean, to me, he's like the king of, I mean, the industrial thing that's how I got into electronic music.
Really?
Yeah, and on like downward on the downward spiral, some of those synth basses, digga 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 digga, it's that to me was like just when I heard Psytrance, I was already loving that kind of 16th Moog bass
running one. Yeah, Trent is like you know, like second to none.
I couldn't agree with you more.
I saw one of his interviews that he said that Bob Moog once came to the backstage of a 9 Inch Nails, and I was like, dude, that's like a huge honor.
Yeah. Because you're a hardware guy.
Yeah, I'm more of a analog-oriented artist in the last couple of years. I think it transformed the way I see music and the way I make music.
So how did that start? Were you always hardware?
Not really. I was digital for a long time because I started making like music in 2005, and you know, analog wasn't big back then. And I just like, you know, I just got into the whole digital era, and it always felt like I couldn't find the right sound. And then I bought a Moog just like because I wanted to have a synth. I bought a Moog in like 2011 or maybe even 2010, and I didn't know what to do with it. I was like, yeah, the envelope is not sharp enough. You know, you're a trance guy and you want everything to be like tick, 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 and you just want everything to sit. And when you buy a Moog, that's like the opposite of like sitting, because everything is like, you know, like really slow envelopes and like really subby, and it's like, it's a different approach. And I was like, I didn't know what I was going to do with it. And then I said like, okay, I'll just try to make some stuff with it. And I did some bass line. It was cool, but it wasn't the, you know, the minute that changed everything. The minute that actually changed everything was like, I moved from Tel Aviv to Herzliya. And in Herzliya, here in Israel, like domestic pixels, size-X, loud, Astrix, illumination, like these artists we all lived right next to each other back then. And when I got into domestic studio for the first time and I finally saw like proper synthesizers, I was like, dude, this is what I want. Like the sound that they have, it sounds so warm, and like it sounds like the digital stuff, like trying to imitate what what the analog stuff are doing. And then I said like, fuck it, I'll just buy an SH101 and I'll see how things work out. And I just bought it, and it was like the best decision I've ever made, because it just opened up a hunger to buy even more. And then I went on a trip of like, I got into a trip obviously of like buying a bunch of synthesizers, and then like I bought a Moog, and then like the Oberheim and the MS-20 and the TB and the Juno, and just like I sat down and I said, okay, I think I have enough instruments to write an album. And that was like the second album. So yeah, everything just went analog completely.
How is your approach different now that you've got a lot of analog gear? Like one thing that I know a lot of people do is with the analog sort of situation, they'll set up essentially a loop or most of the parts of the track sort of live and everything's running, and then record it live, because obviously it's quite different from when you're working with a VST, because you can sit there and stop it and tweak it and stop it and tweak it. What's your sort of approach? Is it more of this kind of live dub kind of thing, or do you sit there and record long takes? Like how do you sort of approach that aspect of it?
Everything changed when I got into analog, because back then, you know, like I used to sit in front of a computer and open a VST and like, you know, start just like, you know, twisting knobs and trying stuff out, but it never felt natural to me. And when I got a synthesizer for the first time, just like moving the knobs and being able to just like play stuff live really, I don't know, did something else for me. So what happened in the second album, every track I wrote, every session I had was like a trip. I would just like, you know, like shut all the lights and just like have a couple of candles. I know it sounds really romantic. I didn't even like, you know, it's just like
a little bubble bath.
Yeah, a little bubble bath. No, what actually happened was the fact that I just had like a kick running, and I just started moving from one synth to the other and just started playing a few notes here and a few notes there and doing a sound here and a sound there, because everything is connected at the same time. Yeah. So it changed my approach towards music completely. It made it more musical in a way, because I started playing more, and then I started like synthesize more, because everything was in the tip of my hands. So it was like different than like holding a mouse and just like start you know, moving one thing at a time. When you have everything in front of you and you touch it with, you know, both hands, then you touch more things. At least I am, you know, that's what I do. So it changed my approach completely, and it made it way more musical. And I kind of like, when I play the Juno, I feel like I'm playing a piano, you know, and I feel like I'm playing a musical instrument. And when I'm playing the silent one, it doesn't feel like a musical instrument to me. It's amazing, and I know people can do exactly the same thing and even better than what I can do on the Juno. But something about sitting in front of an instrument makes me feel like I'm more, you know, like it gets more of a musical approach out of me.
Yeah, you're more of a sort of programmer when you're on a synth, and like for instance,
Exactly.
like I was in a studio, like a studio like a week ago. We were recording drums, and I was producing this thing. So the engineer put me at this like 48 channel old like BBC desk with like, you know, all the channels and stuff, and he was like, okay, cool, so let's just go. And I was like, sort of like I was kind of trying to orient myself at the desk. We got like, you know, like 22 channels of drums coming in, and he could see that I was like still figuring out which channel was which and stuff. And he was like, just turn off the screen, just turn off the computer screen. I was like, oh, okay. And as soon as I did, it's like just listening, you know. Just listening, and it's like you're just staring at knobs and moving knobs and listening.
Exactly.
As soon as you turn the screen off and just go somewhere else, it's like you're playing guitar or something, or playing. Yeah,
Exactly.
you're playing keyboard.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm looking for, because when you have Ableton in front of you and you see all the numbers and like everything is too organized, and when you don't look at the screen and you just play and you just like, you know, record and just do a couple of like leads and sounds and stuff, then suddenly the magic happens. The magic doesn't happen to me when I look at a screen and start like playing with like synthesizers, like with digital ones. That's why like 99% of the time when I actually write music, I need my synthesizers with me, or any other synthesizers for that matter, because I need a musical instrument. Like a guitar player needs his guitar, you know what I mean? That's the way I feel nowadays about music. Yeah, but I still meet like amazing musicians, you know, like Alex, that can sit in front of you know, on like a digital synth or VST, and it makes it sound like nothing else on the planet. I can't do that, you know what I mean? Like I need my Oberheim to get shit done.
Yeah, but dude, my like repetitive strain injuries on my mouse finger are fucked. I've got a carpal. My right arm is like the size of a tree trunk just from that shit, you know. I promise you, it's just it's just a synth program. It's just a synth program. Sure. I promise you. But I definitely lined myself up for that one. So, dude, Shahaf, one thing I want to know is like, so we're talking about how you work in the studio, but you fucking play so many gigs. Like, how do you even get any time? Like I was checking out your page, and you're just playing like seemingly every single weekend, if not twice a weekend. Yeah. Like, do you not struggle with getting momentum up to even work at all?
Yeah, to be honest, man, I'm like, when I wrote the second album, it was a do or die kind of thing. It was like, I said like, okay, I have like 1, 2, 3, I don't know, 8 synthesizers. I'm going to do the whole album with them. And like, if it works, then it works. If not, then fuck it. I'll just go to McDonald's or something. I'll just do my best to do like a proper album. And I remember when I brought it to, when I gave it to Eyal, rest his soul in peace. Yep. It was like, dude, I don't know what this is. Like, I don't understand it. I know it sounds good, but I have no idea what you just brought me. And then I told him, like, I just wrote music. I didn't think about trance, I didn't think about techno, I didn't think about dance floor, and I didn't think about what anybody else is gonna say. And that thing is the turning point, in my opinion, because prior to this album, I used to tour, like, I don't know, like twice a month, or like something like that. Nowadays, when it's every weekend, I see the reason why. I see I see people bringing me gifts and stuff like that, which ultimately makes me think that they're doing that because I was really open and like transparent. You know what I mean? I just wrote my music from like the way I felt on the inside without any ego. And yeah, nowadays I don't get to write a lot of music because I've been on tour ever since like the beginning of the year, every weekend. Wow. Besides, like, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 weekends, which is a beautiful thing, you know, like, I have like, I don't want to change anything about it, but I miss sitting in the studio and just writing music, and I barely have the time. Like, I made like last year I made around like I did the album and I did another 5 or 6 tracks, you know, like the collaboration with Astrix and stuff like that. This year I wrote 4 tracks, maybe 5.
Wow.
Maybe even less.
So do you just have to like
nothing?
Do you just have to cancel some at some point, or like?
That's exactly what I did. I was supposed to be in China this weekend, like not the upcoming weekend, but the last weekend. I was like, and I came back from Mauritius on Friday, and I was supposed to fly out on the same day, and then I called up my agent up, and I was like, dude, there's no way I can do that. Like I'm not a machine. I want to go home.
Yeah.
And then he was like, okay, we can cancel it and just like move it to another date. And I was like, I don't care about the money. I don't care about anything. I just want to go home and like sit on my couch and watch Netflix and make music. That's what I want to do. You know, like it sounds like I don't appreciate what I have. And I really do appreciate, I'm in love with what I do. Like I wouldn't want to change anything about it, but sometimes it gets too much. Like you just want to be in your own studio and play music. That's the reality of it.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like that at all, man. It's like, I mean, I haven't done it to your extent, but I know that the glamour of touring does not last for long, and really you just it's all the glitches, you know. It's all the layovers and the, you know, and it's just the transport, and also, you know, playing a big gig when you come off stage, like you've just given a lot, like emotionally. Like you've just given, like you just outputted. It's a communication, but I always find it very tiring, and I do still play gigs in various things, and when I get off stage, I'm not physically tired. I'm like emotionally tired.
Mentally,
from giving.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But
yet again, you know, it's a beautiful thing to see the way that people react to your music, to see that people know your music by heart is something that is very heartwarming, because like I didn't expect that when I was growing up, when I started writing music, you know what I mean? So I do appreciate, and I try to take some energy back from the crowd, but still there are things that people rarely talk about, which is like the stuff that the time that you have to spend by yourself. Like I was in Mauritius now, which is paradise. It's an island between South Africa and India. It's insanely beautiful, but still I'm there alone for like 5 days, and like, you know, I mean, it's nice and all that, but that's the thing about touring. You get to spend a lot of alone time, and sometimes it's not the best thing that you can do for yourself as a human being, you know. Like I want to be I remember when I met Nilix 3 years ago in Australia, and he told me, dude, I'm dead on the inside. I'm like, I'm quitting touring. I don't want to do it anymore. I just want to take a break. And he took a break for a while. And nowadays, he tours wherever he wants to tour. You know what I mean? Like he does some gigs in Germany, and then he takes all of his friends and his family with him, because he needs that. Because when you spend so much time by yourself, you start like thinking, and it's not the right, you know, it's not the best thing you can do as a human. You want to be around people you love.
It's isolating. And
it is. That's exactly the word. It's isolating. It's yet again. It's amazing. Blah blah blah. I wouldn't change anything, but still, it takes a toll on you. That people judge you by Instagram and by Facebook and whatever, and you usually just show your peak moments. You show your good moments. Even if you open your Instagram for a second on story and say, I had the worst flight and a baby sat behind me. Yeah, man. I mean, you know, let's all cry together. Yeah. But like, you know, it's not the real hard moments. The real hard moments are when you lose a flight, when you're by yourself, when you think too much, when you have like problems in your life, when you want to see your family, when you don't see your, I don't know, nephews or friends and stuff like that. These are the hard moments. This is what I've learned after 12 years of touring. Yeah.
And dude, you're in good company, man, because we're not like a celebrity gossip podcast. We're a podcast for musicians. A lot of people listening already do this. Even more people listening would love to be doing this, and a lot of people listening will be doing this. And it's actually good to share the experience of what you're going through, because it's actually useful. You know, there's a lot of blogs out there for, you know, like this tour life and stuff like that, and it's as opposed to pretending it's a fairy tale, but it doesn't take away from how much you love being up there on stage at all, does it?
Yeah, it comes second to none, really. I mean, like being there on stage and playing for 2 or 3 hours when you get to tell a story. Yeah. Like I've decided in the last couple of years, like ever since the album, I just said like, I'm not going to be a crowd pleaser anymore. I'm not going to play this dance floor music that everybody keeps playing, because I can't be part of the, of this whole competition of, excuse my language, like who has the biggest dick. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like this is the way it feels. Like who's playing the biggest drop, who has the biggest vocal, and who does the best chant. I can't be part of that thing. You know what I mean? Like I rather be in my corner playing my music, which is not like, I don't try to like be a crowd pleaser, and I just play my shit, and I rather have 50% of the crowd enjoying it rather than trying to make everybody happy and at the same time playing stuff that I don't believe in. You know what I mean? Just for the sake of getting a reaction that I think is the right reaction from the crowd. And that's what I learned when I started going to like techno parties. I saw that like DJs are playing really sophisticated and like even condescending music in a way, and you see like people reacting to it in a way that they're like, they have to think, they have to understand what they're listening to. And that's where I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to play music that people actually listen to, rather than build-ups and drops, because that's empty. It doesn't even sound like music. It sounds like, let's try to see how many hands I can have up at the same time. And that's like, that's not my thing anymore. I can't do that anymore. Like, I think that even if you do it the best way, and as you grow up, an 18-year-old knows 10 times better than you how to do that, because he was born in this generation. You know what I mean? He's going to do it far more cheap than you do it, and people are going to love him for it, because he understands his age, the people that is around his age way better than a 30-year-old or a 29-year-old understands them. So that's why I don't want to be part of that competition anymore.
Plus, like if you're walking dance floors using only or primarily the kind of tools du jour, the contemporary methods for the fail-safe, foolproof, do this, drop, and people dance every time. If your set is just one after the other of moments like that, then I don't actually myself understand how you can walk off there and feel like, yeah, that was me, Whereas if you, and there's nothing wrong with having some of that stuff in a set, but if you're
of that for sure, yeah.
If you're doing, and you kind of have to, especially if you're playing in certain countries and stuff. But if you're doing it, like Frank Sinatra, if you do it your way, and you still get a big reaction, then you know that you've earned it, and also I think that part of the tension and part of the bravery of doing that is that sometimes it doesn't work. And that's the beauty of it.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. This is exactly what I'm looking for, because nowadays when I play stuff like, I don't know, like the last track on my first album, which was like the best one there in my opinion, it's a track called Recycled. It's something between techno and trance. When I opened my set in 2018 with a track I've done, like I wrote like in 2013, even if it's like from Ozora to Tomorrowland, which is like, the far end of each other, and it still works because people know you by now, you know what I mean? Because they know this is the stuff you play, and they react to it. Even if it happens in Brazil, it doesn't get better than that, because I can play the right drop to make everybody go woo. Yeah. But like when you give them something more less approachable and you still see the reaction, then you feel like you've done something great. And it feels far better than giving them exactly what you want and like feeding them with a spoon.
Yeah. It's like also if you write everything in capital letters and then you write everything in bold, then you got nowhere to go from there. But if you go to like lowercase italics sometimes, then then when you go back to the bold, and it's make them want it. But do you find that people are open? I mean, that's why we wanted to talk to you today, because you are a bit more of an adventurous, but sort of producer. But like, do you find that's made it harder for you, like in the past, or do you feel people are really open to it, or?
I feel like as time goes by, people after they saw you a couple of times, they're kind of used to the fact that you want to be that someone else that plays something that most of the most DJs don't play, and that's admirable in a way, and they love you for it. Some of them, but I can tell you like numerous of times that I try to play stuff that are like far advanced in my opinion, and it wasn't the right crowd to do that in front of. You know what I mean? And it didn't work, and I'll probably want to be back. But I mean, like something like that happened to me a while ago when I played at a show in Sheffield in the UK, and it was a whole like a trancey crowd, like an old school, not psytrance, trancey crowd. And I tried to like play, like all this eclectic sort of like half techno, half psytrance, and like super clean, and that's like the exact opposite of what they wanted. And I was like firm, and I was like, I'm gonna play my shit, blah blah blah. And then like, okay, I never came back there, but the same organizer booked me for a show in Ibiza with the same crowd, and then I said like, you know what, I'm gonna do my own thing. Like I'm gonna do my own thing, but in a more dance floor way, which means that I'll play the stuff that I know that I usually play like towards the end of the set of my usual set. I'll just play them in the beginning, and I'll just go from there, and I'll see how it works. And it was probably one of my best shows throughout the whole summer. That's the whole thing. Like you should know the tools that you have, and it doesn't always have to go. Like I usually go from 134 and I finish on like 142. It doesn't always have to go this way. Like I've learned throughout the last year. Then I can even start on like 140 and go down a bit and then go up a bit, but like still maintain the energy. Because not all crowds are open to the fact that you want to start your story very slowly and very dark and very techno-ish and finish on a very high scale of like full-on sort of a la like Union Jack oriented stuff that I do. So you just have to learn, you have to master your abilities of like being in front of a crowd and knowing which tracks you should play next. This is the whole thing about being a DJ rather than an artist.
It's a really interesting point actually that you made there in terms of when you said that you were going to play your tracks but do it in a slightly different way, and I think it's kind of this art form of saying, okay, well there's my musical style and there's the sort of message and the story that I want to tell, but how can I deliver this in a way which crowd A is going to respond to in a way that crowd B might not respond to. And I know personally for me it's been a really interesting experience coming over to Australia, and crowds sort of expect very different things to sort of dark, dingy London, squat parties and warehouses and stuff. So it's like, how do you shift your sound and deliver it in a way that still feels respectful and still feels truthfully you, but is ever so slightly different, so that people can be open and accept it. Exactly. That's the thing, because the good thing, like one of the the things that I'm proud of is the fact that I do I write so many styles of psytrance, from like half techno to a more happy sort of Union Jacky play. So I have enough ammunition to handle practically every situation when it comes to psytrance. That's one of the most important things, because if I would have done one style and everything would be on the same vibe, then that's the only thing I would be able to deliver. But once you have running like very sort of Xenon oriented and like techno oriented or Union Jack oriented or like whatever, then you can actually build a story from anywhere you want to start and decide where you want to take it to. You know what I mean? Using your own music rather than other people's music, which is also a good thing. But it takes a lot. It takes a lot of time to actually come up with enough ammunition for that. It took me because I play music since I'll play stuff that I did back in 2011, and I'll play stuff that I recently did on the same set, as long as I make sure that the sound is like current and it sounds good.
It's a very dance music problem, isn't it? Because it's like you've got, like in pretty much any other music outside dance music, all you have to do is just play great music, and if people are standing or sitting or whatever they watch, they just want good music. But with dance music, not only does it have to be good, but they have to dance. It's like the second criteria which people have, especially in the kind of what you might callously call the hard dance genres, like trance, techno. Like they really have to dance, whereas you know, you go to see John Hopkins or something like that. It's like, if you don't dance for 10 minutes, that's kind of cool. Or Stephen Bardson or something like that. But about your last point, so I know that some live acts are just dropping other people's tracks into their own thing, and just instead of doing like a DJ hybrid way, and so like, for instance, once I shared a cab with Noisia, I think before they were really big, and the guy looked at my bag of kit, and he was like, "What's all that stuff you've got?" I was like, "So laptop and like I got a MIDI keyboard and an interface." He's like, "Why do you have all that stuff?" I'm like, "Well, because I'm playing live." He's like, "Why?" I was like, "Well, what have you got?" He's like, "Fucking CDs, mate." Like, and they just didn't do live sets and drum and bass, and he fucking smashed the shit out of this party, dude. And he played a bunch of Noisia tracks, and he played some other people's tracks, and it's like, why not just play mostly your stuff, but whatever? Like, what's your take on that?
My take is that let's say I do like a 2-hour set or a 3-hour set, and I'll play like 5 tracks from other people, and the rest of the things will probably be my own.
Yeah.
My point on that is that I still want my music to be the main vibe of the set. If I find a track that resembles my style in a way that actually fits and make my set sound better, then I'll do it. I'll play it. But I would never play like high time pick hits. You know what I mean, so to speak. Like, I don't know, like top 10 Beatport hits. That's not my thing. I want to try and find something that actually resemble what I do. But okay, so you were asking what exactly? Just so I see that I pick up on your question. You asked if I should be playing other people's music.
No, it was just I mean, like, my personal take. I think I feel the same way you do, which is basically like, you're telling a story and people are coming to watch you, so they know what to expect. But, you know,
exactly.
But do you know, I guess it wasn't even really a question. It was almost like, do you feel limited by some promoters which say, you're not really allowed to play other people's music, like you have to.
Nobody says that anymore, to be honest. They just want you to play good. They just want you to deliver and like tell your story, and that's what I'm trying to do. And it's always hard when you try to do something else, when you try to do something new. You come across a lot of crowds that don't understand it, or promoters that expect you to like break the dance floor, so to speak, and you don't want to do that anymore. So you obviously come across a lot of people that are not happy with what you've done in the end of the day, and that's cool, you know what I mean? Like, not when Stefan Bodzin comes to Israel, not a lot of people are happy about it. When I see him live, I'm like, I can't, it doesn't get any better than that. And that's the whole thing about art. Some people are super excited about something that other people are very they don't understand the thing behind it, you know what I mean? And that's cool. That brings me back to the beginning of the conversation, saying that I don't want to make everybody happy, you know what I mean? I want to make myself happy, and I want to make the people who follow me happy. Besides that, even if it's like the biggest promoter on the planet, even if it's Tomorrowland, and I go there and I feel like I play my stuff and it doesn't work, so be it. That's okay. Maybe I shouldn't play there next year. You know what I mean? I'm fine with that. I don't need everybody to love me. I don't want to be number one. I want to be the best version of me. That's it.
Well, and there's that. I can't remember the exact quote, but it's something like, if you're not pissing people off, you're not doing something right. You know, it's like,
exactly.
You can't please everyone. And one thing that I think has been something that I've always been really grateful to really good DJs for is educating me and introducing me to new sounds and new styles and new things that I wouldn't necessarily hear of. And it's something that I think is starting to sort of fall apart a little bit in this sort of whole commercialization of not just trance, but techno at the moment is like super, super huge. And there's this whole sort of melodic thing coming in, and you're just getting, like you said, I mean, you were talking that you're not the guy that's just going to play drop after drop after drop after drop. And I think it's good that you play a sound where people are not going to necessarily know what it is. And I think sometimes when people hear something that they're not expecting, their initial reaction might not be great, and they might be like, oh, fuck this, or like, this isn't great. But they might go away afterwards and go like, you know what, like, this guy that played stuff that I'd never heard of before, out of all of the guys that just played drop after drop after drop, maybe I'm going to go and check out what he was doing, you know. And so I think it's important to maintain that sense of your identity as an artist, and this is what I'm doing, and if you like it, great. If you don't like it, that's okay, you know, but I'm doing my thing. Like, I super respect you for that, man.
Thanks, man. No, it just brings me back to the place that I think we should, as artists, just like give up on the ego as much as we can, which means we don't always have to be the best. We don't always have to be number one on Beatport, and we don't always necessarily have to be the biggest drop or the biggest highlight of the party. We should just do our thing and tell our story. And if it works, amazing. If it doesn't work, so be it. But still, if everybody's gonna be if everybody's gonna like try and be like the biggest crowd pleaser, then where's the art? You know what I mean? Like, if I tell another people's story, then I'm lying. Then I'm not an artist in the end of the day. And what am I doing here? I'll just be a DJ. I'll just get the best tracks from everybody and do like one track a year and play the biggest set with the biggest drops. But like, where's the art?
And how are you going to feel while you're doing it as well? I mean, unless you're just in it for the money. I mean, if you're just purely in it for the money, then just play the most bang, you know, or just play the safe stuff, right? But I mean,
exactly,
the whole, you know, I think even a career is something that we focus on a lot. Now, I actually want to ask you something in a second about trajectory and stuff like that, but it's really kind of, it's a tricky one because, and it's a tricky one for me with my own story as well, but it's like, you want the career because you want to do it all the time and you want to share it with people. It's not a career because you want to make money from it, but you want to do it full time. So you kind of need to play the industry game, but you're only doing it because you have to, because that's what you have to do to get it out there to people. So but deep down, you know, I do chat to people from all over the place, and when I'm chatting to them, I'm thinking, are you really in this for the music? Like, you seem to be very image based.
Tell me about it.
You do, like, you seem to be asking a lot of questions that I actually enjoyed figuring out the answers to. Like, you know,
yeah, I come across that all the time, and and every time I meet someone that I feel like is not there for the right reasons, I just don't want to be around him.
No.
You know what I mean? Because I feel like I get hurt, like, really, I get hurt personally when I feel like someone is taking advantage of art for the sake of solely making money. You know what I mean? Because that's not what being an artist is all about. And the way I see things is that I want to be here in 10, 15, 20 years. You know what I mean? And if I'll be like, you know, I'll be in the state of mind of like doing what's hot right now or what people want to hear right now, then I'll be chasing my own tail for the rest of my days.
Yeah.
And that's not something I want to do. I'd rather leave a stamp, do my own thing, not be number one, and just keep being around for 10, 15, 20 years because I want to do this for the long run. And the whole thing that you have to like, you have to work your way around media, which is super important nowadays. So social even if your music is not, social media. Because I mean, even if your music is not the biggest crowd pleaser on the planet, if you do the right marketing along with it, and if you do the right social media around it, then there's no reason why it shouldn't work. But then again, I came from the other side. I came from the side who was a crowd pleaser at some point, because that's what made me stop wanting to be a crowd pleaser. Because when I've done when I did Marshmallows and you know the stuff back then, I didn't write it for the money, but it got so big that I used to play 5 times a week in Israel. Yeah. And then I was like a fucking robot, man, because they used to put me in like super commercial parties that people, like, the last thing on their mind is their music. They just want to hear the drop and they just want to hear what they know.
Yeah.
That after like 2 years, I was done.
Yeah.
I was done. I didn't want to do it anymore. And I came back to my agent's place and I was like, dude, I'm done. I'm not doing this shit anymore. And then I started like messing around with Xenon because I wanted the opposite of everything. I wanted to go underground because I couldn't stand the heat, to be honest. I didn't want to take part.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like art anymore. So nowadays you can write whatever. Like, it doesn't even matter. If you do the music that actually comes within you and you patch the right social network with it and the social media with it, then there is no reason why it shouldn't work. It just takes more time. That's one of the reasons I see new artists, you know, trying to do the next big track or the next big chant or the next big triplet, but they don't understand that it doesn't really do anything. You know what I mean? Because they'll have to chase their own tail for the next couple of years, trying to make something out of themselves. Because like, it just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like it's not. I don't see the art in that. I see people who want to be on stage and charge $1,500 for a gig.
Yeah.
That's what I see.
Well, these
And
people
that's
tend to be here today, gone tomorrow, anyway.
Exactly, and
you
we
know?
don't want to be one of those, you know what I mean? I want to be, that's what I said, I want to be here in 10, 15 years. If I've been doing this for 12 years and I just feel in a certain peak right now,
Yeah.
then I would like to maintain this peak, or like I would want to be around in 10 years.
Speaking of social media and all this kind of stuff, like, what's your approach to that? I mean, it seems like your social media it looks really good. There's a lot of high quality content, you know, there's engagement and this kind of stuff. Is that something that you consciously put time and effort into? Do you have someone to manage it for you?
No, I have someone. I know that it's important, way more important than people actually understand nowadays, because the way you look, like the way people see you on the media is the way they approach everything you do. If your media looks proper, then it helps you just like maintain your success more. You have to understand that nowadays it's even like, I don't want to say it's more important than the music, but it's important as the music at least. So I pay someone to do my Facebook, and I pay and I have you know, someone who does my art when I need artbook stuff. I pay a lot of money for those stuff because I know that this is the other side of the things. Like it's at least in my head, 50% the music and 50% media,
Right.
social media. So I try to do Instagram as much as I can. If it was up to me, man, I would like throw my phone out of the window and like never use it again. And like, but I know that it's part of the game, and you have to play the game in a way, you know what I mean? Like I try to like do the best I can on the musical side and do my thing, but I know that in order to do my thing and stay current and still make money in a way that I want to live nowadays, I still have to put a lot of effort and money and time into my social media. And I can't be away from social media for more than 1 day or like 2 days. That's why it's always up there. It's always working.
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting.
But it's like you say you pay someone, but it's not even really a payment, it's investment, isn't it? Because it's like you just, you know, it was Tristan was recommending to us, well, to our listeners and our viewers, like, just take, I think it was Tristan, just take all the money that you make from a gig, take your entire fee and spend it on a video of you playing the gig. And I can understand why people would be like, well, but then where's the money? It's like the money comes from the 10 gigs you get from that video.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Of course, man.
Exactly,
of course.
yeah.
Yeah, I just did it in Ozora, man. I think I basically paid for my gig in Ozora. I swear.
Yeah.
I just took like I took like five photographers, and I just like ran them through the whole site. And we did a whole after movie of like an hour and a half of the whole set. I know that even though I paid more than I earned in Ozora, I would probably get more gigs from that video rather than anything else on the planet. That you have to know where to invest your money. You don't have to take a video of any gig, like every gig you do. But the main ones are investments, way more than a place to make money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the way I see it as well. Tristan knows his game, you know what I mean? He's been around for long enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I think that's one thing that we're constantly encouraging people at home
Yeah, we can talk.
do
Sure,
is
let's
to
go for
just
it. I still have
make
like
sure it's
10
all
minutes.
looking
Don't
good.
worry.
So that was one other question I had, was like, so it's kind of like a conversation we've been having, kind of actually forever, but I guess it's a preoccupation of ours, and this conversation really comes from my own story, which was that before Sonic Species, I had another act, which got picked up very quickly. And I was basically gigging almost as soon as I was making music, from small parties to, and I actually played some very big gigs, definitely before I was ready. And that project like started very slowly. It wasn't until until Sonic Species that things went boom because I was more experienced. Sonic Species was 2 experienced producers starting straight away. But as I was doing the first project, I was seeing people coming into the game who looked like they'd waited a bit more patiently. And then when everything was ready to go with the aesthetic and the brand and the music, they just went bang and they were playing big gigs straight away. Like, how did you start? Like, did you start slowly or did you hold back, or what did you have? Did you launch, like, what was your story in terms of waiting to release, or did you just start playing straight away?
Well, to be honest, I don't know if a lot of people know that, but I've never ever had a job. Never in anything. Like, this is what I've been doing ever since I can remember myself. I started writing music when I was in high school, when I was 15, and I started gigging way before I was even ready for it. I started touring when I was 17, and it hasn't stopped until today. But I don't think people noticed me or my music in a serious way until around 2010.
Right.
So, but back then it made sense, you know what I mean? Because back then the internet was slow. Back then you could have be like a shadow in a way.
Sure.
Nowadays, if I would like do something from scratch, I would make it look $1 million, and I'll make it sound $1 billion before I'll even launch anything online.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it nowadays. Back then, you could have played around with it. You could have gone like around, you know, because it was a different time, because the internet wasn't strong, as I've said. So I think it took people a long time to notice what I've been doing. And ever since they started noticing, which was like 2010, I just gave everything I had. I just left everything behind and just like focused 100% on the music.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think that's pretty much echoing what I've been sort of saying, and because we do get a lot of people sending like rough demos and stuff like that, and I also get that as well, because you know, if you don't have a strong community, then when you're working on stuff, you just want people to hear it, you know, and that's why you might send it to around. But I guess it's like having a community of people who can listen to it non-judgmentally, you know, but who you trust. Yeah.
One thing I was gonna sort of say to perhaps like bring a bit of clarity, but to perhaps people that are maybe at the beginning of their journey, or they're sort of getting ready to launch, is like there's a lot of things that we've been talking about today. It's been awesome. You know, we've had DJing, we've had social media, we've had contacts and connections, and actually just the music and playing your sound. There's a lot of sort of different areas to focus on. If you could sort of give, say, one thing to people that were not yet at a position of, you know, that haven't really sort of made it, so to speak, yet, what would you say out of all of these different things would be the sort of most important thing to focus on?
Really good music.
Great answer.
This is really good music, man. The rest is like purchasable.
Sure.
You know what I mean? You can buy anything. You can buy a good mastering. You can buy mix even, which is like, it makes sense in a way. Maybe new beginning. You can buy anything basically, but you can't buy good music. And the way of achieving good music, in my opinion, is to let go of the ego as much as you can and just write what you have on the inside, based on your experiences, based on the music you grew up in, based on the music you're listening to nowadays. Don't make music for other people. Don't make music for the sake of people loving you. Just write what you have on the inside. It's a journey and it takes ages to get to that point. But try as hard as you can to do that. And I promise you that at some point, if you play your cult right, it's gonna work. There's no reason why it shouldn't.
Shahaf, thanks so much for joining us today, man. It's been like
absolute pleasure.
Absolutely killer to talk to you. This is the kind
Thank
of chat
so
we're always trying to get, and I hope the rest of your year goes super well.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I just want to tell you guys that I'm not saying it because I'm here right now, but like what you guys do on Futurephonic is the best thing that someone has been doing on this scene for ages. Yay. I've been using your stuff ever since the beginning, and it's like, these are stuff I told Alex numerous of times, these are stuff that I cannot do on my own. Like, there's no way I can get to this level of production or whatever the fuck you do there, man. It's fucking magic. And I'm like, I use it all the time. I've used it on my album, and I'll keep using it every time, like every time I write trance. So thank you so much for being out there. Thank you for having me, and I hope we'll do something again in the future.
Thank you very much. Have a great day, man.
Thank you, guys. You too.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Cool. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
I just love chatting to that dude.
It's just a real, like I was saying to you before, like he's just a real artist who just like doesn't give a fuck. Well, he gives a fuck about the right things, you know.
Gives a fuck about the right things.
It's definitely got me inspired to go back into the studio and actually just not think about anything and just like have fun and just like play music for the sake of playing music again. It's like I can't remember the last time I didn't make something that was attached to a project or, you know, a job or like something like that. So
yeah,
well, yeah, absolute pleasure.
And it's both harder and easier, isn't it? Because it's maybe hard and easy are not the right set of metrics to use, but it's more challenging in some ways, because as he himself said, sometimes he'll do his thing and sometimes it will fall on a less appreciative crowd. And you know, of course, he's a very successful artist. He's got people holding up signs in the crowd, and you know, but he's also not afraid to serve up an interesting dish and see how people take it, you know, and he's kind of riding it sort of by the horns a bit more. So it's more challenging in that respect, but it's also challenging and easy isn't maybe the best terms, but it's easier to not be looking down the barrel of your career and thinking, who am I going to follow next, or what trends? How do I do this thing that other people are doing that I'm not doing? You know, how do I
think he's...
Go on.
Go on.
Well, I was just gonna say, yeah. So like oh god, how do you? Oh, seriously? Okay, you go.
Okay. Yeah, this is what happens when you live in Australia. Yeah, I think, yeah, he's just really not afraid to make mistakes, I think. And, you know, for the sake of what he's doing, it's like he tries something and sees if it works. And like he said himself, it's like you can't please everyone all the time. It's like he does what he does and he stands by that. And it's super inspiring. And you can tell from talking to him that, you know, he walks his talk, you know, so.
Yeah, it reminds me of a quote that Anthony Bourdain said, that basically you have to not be afraid to have a bum meal, and what I mean by that is that you need to be ready to try different things. So you go out to a restaurant and you order something weird, and it's unpredictable, and if you're afraid that it's just not gonna, if you never do that because you just always want to play in the safe zone, then that might work, but it's not going to be exotic or interesting, or it's going to always be in the safe zone. But if you go out and I'm going to try that weird fish soup that has a fish I've never heard of and fucking like chicken as well in it or something, but there's something about that I just want to try it. Sometimes you're like, oh my god, that was delicious. Oh my god, that was that. Oh, I'm gonna always have that now. Yeah,
you never know unless you try. You gotta take those risks, man, for sure.
We've meandered off again, but so hope you guys like the new format. It's just me, us kind of just chatting to peeps like that. And that's all we have time for this week. So we will catch up with you next time. We'll hit you up later in October. Also, we'll be announcing in the coming weeks our Christmas release for our next Futurephonic thing. It's going to be a big surprise.
Exciting times.
Yeah.
Exciting times.
And also, if you haven't been bombarded by Echotronics for Serum, our latest pack is out.
It's out now.
It's awesome to have people already using it, and thanks so much for your messages there, and we'll catch up with you next time.
Cool. See you later, guys.
All right, see you later.